Hello again. Nicholas Market here, physical therapist by day here in Wilmington, North Carolina with Beach Barbell Physical Therapy, and by night, online fitness coach with Beach Barbell Training via the internet. So I guess everywhere. Today I had planned on doing a talk of explaining pain part two, but unfortunately, and I guess fortunately, I tweaked my back while I was working out this morning. Nothing too major or serious or anything. So I figured it'd actually be kind of a nice, constructive talk to just talk about that and sort of wing it, I guess. So just a little bit of history for me. I hurt my back in physical therapy school of all places. Lifting weights. Nothing wasn't heavy as I recall. I think I was about to do upright rows where you have the bar and you kind of pull it up here, and I just kind of like bent over and grabbed it and then lifted, and I was just like, ugh, felt in my back. Kind of recuperated and rehabbed myself over the next month or two. And intermittently since then, I've had, little twinges or tweaks here and there. Nothing too major. With it, but so I'm kind of used to it, so I don't really have any fear. We've talked about before how fear can definitely screw with us when we're going through pain and trying to move on. And to say that fear is, can make a lot of sense when somebody's dealing with something, particularly if something's not used to the problem, right? So, um, and I've had cases where I've had like I had a left hand pain one time. Came out of nowhere, didn't do anything different, just to get suddenly started really hurting, got really stiff. It was like one of the worst pains I've ever had. I had it over a weekend, and I was freaking out. Like I was thinking, since I have some medical knowledge, I was like, this is probably a vascular necrosis of the scaphoid bone. What else could it be, right? Googling, doctor Googling, and had to actually like literally slap myself and say, Nick, what would you tell someone if they were coming in your office with the same problem? I was like, well, I guess I'd tell them to try to, move it in any little way that they can handle and tolerate. And then within a few days, that was gone. That was bizarre. But I saw psychologically, the fear and anxiety of where that can take you and all the deep, dark rabbit holes that can go down. So, since I've tweaked my back here and there, it really isn't like something that I'm, super concerned with. Now, the downside with when we get an injury, if we want to call this an injury potentially, is that you're at a higher risk of re-injuring whatever, again, if we call it an injury or not, tweaking it, retwinging, tweaking it, then somebody that's never had it is at a lower risk than I am. It doesn't stop me from going back and doing my lifting. Like today was more of an upper body day, so was able to finish out the workout more or less fine. Tomorrow is kind of a deadlift day, so we'll see. Might have to what's called auto regulate, so I might have to kind of adjust the weights accordingly just because of the back. But again, I'm not too worried about it. Typically, it'll last a few days, a week or two. And if I think of it like if I was my own patient, right, and somebody came and saw me like day of, back tweak, freaking out, what do I do? Can I still go exercise? Blah, blah, blah. My general answer would be yes, you can exercise, probably focus on things that aren't aggravating it. That would probably be smart. And then focus on the ones that seem okay and or maybe don't aggravate it or whatever. And general range of motion and kind of keep it moving, and kind of the movement is medicine, motion is lotion type ideas. Like I'll post a video of just kind of my general, kind of like my assessment of back. When someone comes in with complaining of back pain, the video I'll post with this one will essentially show you that. And it's more or less kind of an assessment plus treatment in a way. That's kind of the cool part, is that it's active, keeps them moving. I think it, maybe it's kind of keeping blood flow going to the area. So if there is something that, needs help with healing or whatever, you're getting some blood flow, because there is there's kind of what we call like an optimal dose of maybe loading, right, to the body. So that's something that's maybe not aggravating it and ticking it off more, but not necessarily just not using it. So I'm still kind of signaling the body that, this area needs to move and groove and yada, yada, yada. And so, that would deal with, potential tissues, the muscles, the tendons and ligaments and yada, 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 and also the nerves and the brain and all that. It's all kind of working together as one. So, um, my thing would generally that's kind of how my sessions build off of anyway. So like we do in the evaluation, someone's telling me everything that's going on, I can kind of gauge, how much fear they have and kind of what they believe about their back, if they feel like they're, damaged or scared or whatever, and kind of tailor, how I talk to them and approach them, based on that, because I need to meet them where they are. And then kind of going into the movement exam, checking out their movement, seeing which angles seem to be better than others, and oftentimes my recommendation, one is for general activity is for them to be as active as they can tolerate. And that could just be, maybe 5-minute walks to start or whatever. For me, in this particular case, walking feels great. Sitting is so-so. So yeah, I'm kind of antsy anyways most of the time. So I'll get up and move around a lot, and I'll probably do this assessment movement home exercise program several times a day. And I also threw in, because here at the gym here they have a seated back extension machine, and whenever I tweak my back I always just like doing that. And it's nothing I do for trying to like make my back work really hard or anything. I just like to kind of let it bend me, because it forces you forward because of the weight. I can kind of flex forward here, and that's where I'm getting most of my particular pain. Basically all the other angles were fine. My squat felt fine. Just when I flex or kind of posteriorly tilt my pelvis, it's kind of where you're tucking your butt in, that's where I really feel it. But all the other angles were fine. So I like to do the back extension machine, because it kind of pushes me into that flexion forcefully, under control. I don't just let it throw me in there. And then I can lean back against it, hold it tight over the back pad, and kind of, it's almost like a stretch plus a little bit of muscle activation at the same time. So it just feels good, and it's something I can easily do, and it's active. And then combine it with, without the weight, and just kind of doing, the movements, and all the different angles here and there throughout the day, plus just walking around and staying mobile. And that's kind of my general recommendation for most people. And then based on their assessment, when they're moving, like again, if I'm looking at myself as a patient, if I did the same assessment that I did on myself, I would most likely kind of give that as the initial kind of starter home exercise program. Just it's something simple that they can do at home, that can start moving, and one at least gets blood flow going to the area, which could be positive for any tissues or nerves and whatnot, but also it gets them moving that area and using the nerves that are associated with that area, and potentially helps kind of start working on that confidence, the fear, anxiety that they may have around the issue. So again, I'm lucky, I guess, in a way, because injuring my back, or tweaking it, twinging it, is something I can do here and there. It's not, to me, I don't really have any fear or anxiety over it, thankfully. So that's not as big of an issue. For me, it's more just kind of frustration, I guess, annoyance. Um, uh, and so, again, based on what the person presenting, like if, me as a patient walked into my doors, and depending on, again, how my mentality and fear and anxiety was around the issue, I would address that as well. And I think movement is a great way to address that as well, because movement can be reassuring. So I guess the only other thing I might do a little differently, if there was a patient that was coming to see me that had a similar presentation, is I might even actually have taken them into the gym and tried something like a squat or a deadlift with some weight, maybe like a goblet squat or a dumbbell deadlift or something, just to kind of, again, test out, kind of getting a baseline maybe of what they can handle, but also as another tool for reassurance. And then, throughout, before we do that, kind of a little bit of sprinkle of education of kind of, how the body and pain works, just briefly, nothing too overwhelming. And then kind of as we're doing things, between sets, rest breaks, kind of sprinkling them a little bit more. And then of course, if they end up following up, I just kind of I use the education of, our modern understanding of pain, and that it's not just about damage to an area, that it could, involve, potentially nerves being sensitive, also just how, the brain is perceiving threat, with that area and whatnot. So I can kind of, again, depending on what they're telling me and, how I can gauge, where I can meet them, I'll be sprinkling in that kind of education as we go. Just like, with exercise, you're going to, do gradual, graded loading, progressive exercise, yada, yada, yada. Kind of the same thing with education, kind of a gradual education, sprinkling some knowledge as we go, because it kind of can take some time, different times for different people, for that knowledge to percolate and potentially help, right? Because ultimately the goal with that would be promoting positive health behaviors like being active, which is um, congruent with our understanding, our scientific understanding of, how to best deal with back problems. Don't promote just a lot of passive things. Promote active, self-management, which movement and exercise is one of the greatest tools for that. Don't promote, overly excessive damage and, herniated discs and disc disease and blah, blah, blah. Don't promote that stuff, because one, it's, who knows if that's even involved in the case, in a lot of cases anyways. Really it's kind of like, don't promote fear and don't promote fear and anxiety and decrease self-efficacy. Promote active management, promote them being active in their lives, whatever that may be. And again, I think there's kind of that reassurance both from the professional, the physical therapist, but also the reassurance of like doing something like some heavier weights or something, something that they can tolerate, again, that they're feeling okay with. But there could be a lot of reassurance with that, kind of going, oh, okay, maybe my back is okay because it's working here. So maybe I'm not like super damaged or anything. I just need to kind of teach my body, that things are going to go okay. I'll go, little by little, kind of testing it out, over time. So I thought this would be an interesting aside, because I am also mortal and tweaked back. And again, I was doing overhead press at 145. I did the first set, 8 reps. Second set, I got to like rep 3, and then I felt a kind of a stinging, sharp feeling in my back, kind of center of the back, and I was like, oh, God darn it. And then, I did the 3rd rep, and then I did the 4th rep, and I was like, okay, I gotta take a break. And so I took a break, kind of walked around for a couple of minutes, and then I had 2 more sets left to overhead press, and I was like, yeah, I can do these. So I put the belt on. I don't usually use the belt for overhead press, but maybe I will from now on. And again, that's not from a standpoint of like it's an injury risk. I just feel pretty good. I did the next couple sets with the belt, and I got, I think, 6 and 5 reps or something, and I felt pretty good. And the belt basically just, it provides this pressure around that area, and so when you kind of take a breath in and push against it, when you're really pushing hard on something, you end up kind of holding your breath a little bit, which is normal. It actually kind of pushes, like forces your abdomen and core to brace a little stronger, because it's got to push against this force. So I think I might just end up doing overhead press when I'm doing probably with when I'm doing my work in heavy sets, probably do them with the belt for now on, just because it actually felt pretty good. So and again, I don't know if that's going to reduce my risk of injury or anything. I'm not looking at it from that angle, but and really the only thing I am unfortunately going to be prone to retweaking, twinging, injuring my back in the future anyways. So again, it's not something, I hate to use the word inevitable, but probably will happen again sometime in the future, but no biggie. And unfortunately, I do have heavy deadlifts tomorrow, heavy relative to me. So we'll have to see. I hope it all is great and I can hit the numbers that I'm looking to hit, but if I have to auto regulate, I'll do that and drop the weight a little bit. I'll see as I'm going through warm ups, but no big deal. Nick will be all right. Yes, I refer to myself in the third person. Um, anyways, I thought this would be an interesting little video just because, life throws us curveballs and we got to adjust to it and try to adapt as best we can. So just recognize that if you are also having back pain, no matter where it comes from, um, no matter what the source is, you can probably adapt yourself to a better, way. So exercise is a great tool to at least give a shot to. Is it guaranteed it will change your pain? No, not necessarily, but if you can find a lot of good exercises, including and hopefully some resistance training, some lifting some weights, um, and the back pain at least doesn't get worse, then that would be a great thing because this resistance training and exercise in general is really damn good for your health. So anyways, I'll sign off here and resume normal programming tomorrow and on. Again, if you need help with physical therapy here in Wilmington, you can reach out to me, send me a message, send me an email, whatever, call me, text me. You got my contact info all around. So anyways, I'll see you next time. Peace.